Hey guys, and welcome to the 43rd episode of Dreamers and Doers, where I interview people who follow their passion and use it to make the world better. And I think that's you, Dan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It's my pleasure.
And so I met you, Dan, at Awake, which was a conscious party, a conscious festival, and you were giving a Qi Gong class there. And I thought that was a very peaceful technique. I thought you were also having that vibe that was really, really peaceful. I was like, what is this guy doing? So that's Qigong.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why you came also to events to give a class, and that was amazing again. So I really wanted to do this interview with you. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we start as usual with a little bit of a story, because I guess, did you grow up here in Sydney?
Yeah. So I've been in Sydney my whole life.
Okay.
So I live out in the hills.
Yeah.
I've traveled a little bit, but
Mm.
only just for a couple of week holidays. So mainly here.
Yeah, so I'll be curious to know how a Sydney kid like you got into Qigong
Yeah, yeah.
and became an instructor now.
Well, growing up, my passion was always for improving the body.
Yeah.
I wanted to be stronger, be faster, run faster, jump higher, and it led me to becoming a personal trainer. So
Okay.
I wanted to use exercise and everything that I could research about, the mind and the body, and how to really unlock this human potential.
Yeah.
I always had this deep feeling that there's more than just this what we experience every day or what
Mm-hmm.
the modern person experiences every day. So I became a personal trainer, and then in my course I wanted to expand my studies with anatomy, and I became a remedial massage therapist as well. And I pursued those two professions.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I did gymnastics, and I found
Okay.
I'd played many sports, almost every
Mhm.
sport, and I found gymnastics to be, in my opinion, the one sport that really encompassed all areas. So it was a really good foundation: strength, agility, flexibility, um, and skill acquisition. So
Okay.
I really enjoyed doing gymnastics. I did that for about 5 years. I started quite late. I started when I was 15
Mhm.
till 21. But in that time, I managed to qualify into the competitive stream. I
Okay.
trained myself for about a year, and the head coach, saw me training. Was like, you know what, you can give it a go. And so the best I did in men's artistic gymnastics was fifth in the state, which is pretty good considering I started so late.
Yeah.
And then when our coach left, he left at the same time I started uni. And when I started uni, I was doing PT as a part-time job.
Okay.
And one of the prac coaches in my PT course was a powerlifter. And in my last year of gymnastics was pretty much my peak. And all of the practical components in my course, I was blitzing, I was acing. He was like, "You're very strong. Like, what do you do?" And I told him I did gymnastics. And he advised, or he encouraged me. He said, "You should do powerlifting. You do
Okay.
really well." And so I finished gymnastics when my coach left, starting uni at the same time. And because I was working in the gym all the time, I had access to a bench, a squat rack, and a barbell. So I began powerlifting, and I really enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
was naturally good at it because I had developed such
Mhm.
amount of strength from gymnastics, and I did really well in powerlifting. I ended up
Okay.
placing first in the World Championships as a junior,
Wow.
held in Sydney in 2014. And then after that, that was when I kind of changed everything, and I started to pursue different elements. So I took a break from training.
Okay.
I
Why?
kind of
Why did you stop?
because I won. So
Okay, there was nothing.
I didn't know what to do with
Okay.
myself. I honestly I remember that moment where
Mm.
I didn't know what to do, and I was just like I I just was lost.
Yeah.
I had
Like, was it hard mentally too? Because sometimes we
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about, when you achieve something,
Yeah.
just after you feel a little bit empty.
It honestly it was a moment of emptiness. It was a moment of just complete. I didn't expect to win, and when it
Okay.
happened, I honestly didn't know what to do with myself. I had achieved
Okay.
my goals, but I hadn't set any further goals after
Okay.
that. And so all I really did was just celebrate my win, and I kind of started partying and things like that.
Mm.
And in that environment, I started to go to festivals.
Yeah.
And in the festival scene, there were people doing fire dancing, people teaching
Yeah.
yoga, and doing all these type of workshops, aerials, and things I hadn't seen before. And that exposure inspired me to want to pursue that. And amongst all that was where I found Qigong. So
Okay.
I started reading a book on it, and that's where the passion started to grow from there. And from that, I began practicing my own every day for a whole year. And then I started to show a few friends, and one of my good friends, James, he recommended I teach in a group that he was orchestrating at the time. And I began teaching Qigong. And then after that, I started to realize that because I've been a PT and massage therapist for so long, many people present themselves with the same issues, tight lower back, weak glutes, weak core. And so the traditional style of Qigong was effective, but it could be more effective in order to really specify and address the issues that modern person presents. So I refined the class system I began teaching, and I developed my own style.
Okay.
And that has been the most successful I've had teaching since I began many years ago.
And so you've done you've done also different breathwork techniques. Did you do a bit of Wim Hof?
Yeah. So
pranayama?
in my journey, I traveled so I did the Wim Hof method. I bought the online 10-week program.
Okay.
And that was really, really fun doing cold showers. I bought it in winter, so I was like, oh, perfect timing. And right at the end of my 10 weeks, there was actually an opportunity to go to Poland for a winter experience to train with Wim Hof and his instructors in a group setting. And
as Johannes did. I interviewed him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And it was exactly the right timing, perfect opportunity for me. And I decided to seize the opportunity, and I went to Poland. And I did the Wim Hof breathing technique. I did all the cold exposure. I learned from Wim himself, asked him questions from the instructors, and really immersed myself. Yeah. And it was so much more in depth than I'd anticipated, and I got to really immerse myself in the whole experience, and I took a lot out of it. And the breathing techniques was massive. It paralleled a lot of themes in Qigong, where through your breath you're able to access deeper parts of our physiology. So one theme that occurred in the Wim Hof experience was that we have the ability within ourselves to keep ourselves warm and to adapt to the environment. And what we rely on during winter is jackets and heaters and using the external rather than the internal
ability.
We've lost touch with it. We still have it within ourselves, but a lot of people have lost touch. And by exposing yourself to the cold, by getting cold and teaching your body to adapt, you can unlock it again. And then once you tap into that, then you have all these other areas that you can start to unlock within the body and really maximize the human potential.
So now I'm interested, knowing that and I guess you like all these techniques, but what made you choose Qigong over being a Wim Hof instructor, for example?
The reason I chose Qigong, honestly, was because it just felt right, just intuitively. Some people make decisions based on facts and figures, statistics. For me, but honestly, for me, it just felt right deep down inside. It felt like this was something I wanted to pursue. And every time I taught and practiced myself, I felt good. And it felt good to teach others and to see the change in other people, especially after...
and more than if you were teaching Wim Hof or doing Wim Hof.
Yeah. Like, I still believe, cold exposure has its place, and it's very powerful, and it's not to be excluded. But for me personally, I feel that my path really incorporates a lot of Qigong.
Okay. Because I'm asking you because I'm actually looking at integrating a breathwork technique in my routines. I was thinking of Wim Hof, which I guess is good too. But I was like, what do you find that Qigong has, that you found in Qigong that you don't really found in the Wim Hof method?
So what I have found in Qigong, in regards to, say, the wave breathing technique?
Yeah, overall, why do you do Qigong and not Wim Hof? Concretely.
So I do Qigong because I feel that there is a deeper connection I can achieve with this practice. I feel that with the intentional breath work and movement, I can access deeper parts of my body. So what I've learned through my own practice of Qigong was that when you breathe unconsciously, just throughout the day, it's an unconscious action. It just happens naturally. And we can also breathe consciously. So we can override this and, choose the depth of our breath. So when we choose that, we actually bridge the conscious subconscious gap in the mind. And the subconscious mind is something like 30,000 times more powerful than the conscious mind.
Yeah.
And so when we have access to the subconscious mind, and then we incorporate movement with it, which is what happens in a Qi Gong practice, that we can really enhance the movement, enhance the connection with the body. And I find that developing a stronger connection with the body allows us to deepen our awareness. And a lot of things that happen in terms of injuries or illness in the body just come from us not being aware, being caught up in daily life and the hustle and bustle and the grind, that all the whispers our bodies give us, like, oh, this, ache and pain, address us, look at us. They get overlooked, and then eventually the body yells, and that's when you've really got something to worry about. But through Qigong, when that awareness gets developed, you know these before it gets too late.
So it's kind of also that coordination, because in Wim Hof you don't really have the movement, so you do the movement with the breath, which is what you do with yoga too, right?
People
say it usually they forget sometimes about the breath part, but that's meant to be that coordination a bit too.
So there are a lot of practices that combine breathing and moving together. I find with Qigong, especially in the classes I teach, I prioritize breath as the primary focus and movement is secondary. As long as you are in sync with your breathing, you're breathing fully in and fully out, 100% lung capacity, that's when you can truly utilize and gain the benefits from the practice. And then everything else follows from the breath.
What made you so interested in the body? Because from powerlifting, gymnastics, remedial massage, it's mainly about the body. Do you think we forget a bit too much about our body?
Yeah, definitely. I feel that, for example, you go to school and you learn about the world, you learn about history and mathematics, and you only really very minorly touch on the body. We wake up one day, we're human, we have this body, but how does it work? What is inside it? I've met a lot of people that don't even know their organs, where they are. And if you have a Ferrari and you don't know how to drive your Ferrari, what good is the Ferrari? And I see this as the potential of the body. If we know how the body works, how to use the body, we can truly maximize, how we can use the body.
And you also have mind-driven practices. I'm thinking of meditation, for example.
So there's different forms of meditation. Obviously, the practice of Qigong is a type of moving meditation, and I do a seated meditation as well. And I find that for me personally, in my meditation journey, what held me back initially was being uncomfortable sitting down for long periods of time. As soon as I made my environment comfortable and my posture comfortable, I could meditate for long periods. And I think that a lot of individuals would struggle with this same situation, where they would sit cross-legged and the tightness in their hips would just prevent them from holding it for long periods of time. So after I developed that and also working on my flexibility, it made it a lot easier.
Have you done Vipassana?
No, not yet.
Not yet. That's
but
a good one to kind of force yourself to be able to sit.
Super immersion. Yeah. I'll definitely, it's on the to-do list, because I know that everyone I've spoken to who's gone to a Vipassana have had amazing results. And I find that immersion is really one of the best ways to get the most out of something. And 100 hours meditating is what better way.
It's pretty intense. What's remedial massage?
So remedial massage is more to do with addressing areas of the body that present as an issue. So for example, a normal massage might just be Swedish to help you feel good and to relax, whereas remedial will address, say, for example, if you have an imbalance in the shoulders or a muscle is causing restriction in the joints range of motion. So remedial is more specific for fixing or just changing the structure of the body in how it moves. Things like that. Injuries, prehabilitation, rehabilitation.
And it's different to deep tissue massage, which is
deep tissue is an element within remedial. So the theme of remedial is to improve the function of the body. So say, for example, someone comes to me and they have their shoulder blade sticks out. So I would use remedial massage to address many either a weakness in the muscle or a tightness to help the shoulder blade sit flat, how it's meant to. and to move effectively. Same if you have tight hips and your pelvis is in a forward tilt or a backward tilt.
Is it the kind of massage like a physio would do?
There would be elements of it that would be similar.
When they have like the elbow.
Yeah,
for
I
example,
use my elbow. Yeah, I use everything. Elbow, knees.
It's
sometimes
painful, but it feels good.
Yeah. So depending on how tight you are and your pain threshold, it can be quite intense. Yeah.
Okay. And also, you have that feeling of calmness, like I see when you explain, when you do your practice.
Yeah.
Have you always had that, or is it something you gained through, especially your Qi Gong practice?
I think it's something I was born with.
Okay.
Definitely doing Qi Gong has made me more calm, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I remember growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch any scary movies.
Okay.
And that was until I was, I think maybe 15 years old. I watched maybe the first scary movie ever. So I wasn't really exposed to anything that was frightening. So it was very chilled.
It's probably a good idea. To feed your mind with. For example, like yesterday I was swimming here in the ocean and I fed my mind with so many shark movies. And when I swim in the ocean, I just think about sharks.
Yeah. I think it's a very a powerful element that's helped me. But I feel that just through my journey of understanding more about life and the universe and this world, that just everything's all good, and we create unnecessary tension or stress in the mind, and then this reflects in the body, and then this reflects in our outer life, and just that reassurance that we can influence the world around us with our mindsets, with our actions, and with conscious behavior, conscious thoughts. And as long as we remain in that knowing, it's all good.
Nice. And recently you were with a master of Qi Gong in Brisbane, right?
So I recently trained with Mantak Chia. I did a week-long course learning about the healing power of Qi. So in my massage practice, it's developed to the point where I've begun to use energy or Qi in order to help a client or a person improve their well-being, improve their energy within the body.
Okay.
And up until I had trained with Mantak Chia, it had just been intuitive. But I felt it was the point where I needed a little bit more specific guidance and an in-depth explanation of certain characteristics that Qi or energy presents. And so I spent a week with him and covered a lot of areas, and it was just an abundance of knowledge. Like he had maybe 50 years experience, and then his grandmaster, and all of this information passed down. And it's helped me a lot in my personal practice, as well as since attending the seminar to help others as well.
So what did you learn?
So the biggest thing I learned was, there's three main energy centers in Qigong, or in traditional Chinese medicine: the lower, the middle, and the upper dantian, the gut, the heart, and the mind. And I already knew these elements, but the reiteration of the lower dantian, which is where we store our Qi or our energy, being the main focus. So that kept that was a repeating theme throughout the whole course, was focus on the lower dantian, focus on the lower dantian. And I focused on it, but not as much as it was advised to be focused on. So since practicing after going to Brisbane and training, I've been focusing more on the dantian, and that's changed my whole practice. I feel more, and it's it's a lot more. I feel a lot more expansive in my practice.
Okay. And I guess you covered other things. Is there anything in a nutshell you want to talk about?
So we covered. Initially, we spoke about your bio batteries. So the main energy center obviously is the dantian, and this can become flat throughout the day, just like a normal battery. If we are in toxic environments, if we're eating the wrong foods, if we're thinking the wrong thoughts.
And just to explain, so these three energies, this is it more, so your body's energy? Or
so your body can tap into this. It's energy that your body taps into that's not necessarily physical energy, but it translates into physical energy. So this is like...
what's its role compared, let's say, to the heart or the middle part and the upper part?
So the lower dantian is where we store most of our qi.
Okay.
The middle and the upper are just other areas that the qi can be accessed through. So
Okay.
we work through focusing on each one in the practice, but the main focus was through the lower. So we worked on charging the dantian and learning how to, if you're feeling, deflated or relaxed, not too relaxed, fatigued at any point, that you can focus your energy into the just beneath the navel, and you can recharge yourself. And then we looked at the organs in the body. So just like in massage, when you get a massage, you release some tension in the muscle, you feel really good. Yeah. So muscles will hold energy. They'll hold energy in the form of tension, and this can be, stress, for example. And the organs do the same thing. So
I know my shoulders are super stiff,
super tight.
For example.
Yeah. So that's a perfect example of how we can put weight on our shoulders or pressure on ourselves, which is like carrying the world on your shoulders. And this can create tension. But the organs can do the same thing. What Johannes
told me, like with breath, for example, I think I'm breathing too much with my shoulders.
Yeah. So that's a really good point. So there's two main types of breathing where individuals can breathe. So diaphragmatic breathing, which is belly breathing. If you look at babies, they do this. And then shoulder breathing. So generally when individuals become stressed, they breathe quite shallow and they use the shoulders, and the neck and the muscles around the shoulders and the upper chest, they're not respiratory muscles. So when you use them, they fatigue quite quickly and then they tighten up. And you only get 30% of your breath from here, whereas your diaphragm actually pulls the vacuum of your lungs out and in, and that creates more expansive breath. So belly breathing, if you can do that, if you can train yourself to do that all the time, you will feel amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so do you make it relate a bit to Western science? Like, have you studied a bit the science of breathwork and how it, Wim Hof tries to do a good job, for example, of getting tested in hospitals and try to explain how it works. So our Western mind goes like, oh, it's not just some woo-woo stuff. There's actually science behind. Have you looked a bit into that?
I have looked at it. I've read a few articles. Obviously, training with Wim and reading his method and articles that came with the program and things like that helped me understand the breath better. But I find that, in my opinion, Western science is limited to the physical. And the elements that Qi Gong explores and the elements that, I feel that the world is shifting and moving towards cannot be explained by physical science. And if you look at an atom, it's 99% empty space. So that empty space can't necessarily be measured by science. And if we are going to wait for science to catch up with these studies, we're not going to make much progress. So I feel that moving forward, if we could study or focus on the energetic part, the non-physical, the intuition, the feeling, that's when we'll make leaps and bounds. That's when people will understand through feeling rather than reading a document. That there are many bias studies you can read, pros and cons for the same topic, but unless you experience something yourself and you feel it, that I feel is a much more accurate indicator.
I feel there's two things that are true. There is like first, the importance of energy that you talked about, but that can be and is described in very scientific objective terms right? Because you can measure energy and do scientific work with energy. I think that's been really overlooked till now. But you can do that scientifically. And the second part is the importance of of your subjective experience. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I know they've studied a few Qigong masters that can generate heat in their hands, and the way
because those things you can measure too objectively.
Yeah. So I feel those elements would definitely, if focused on, would help a lot of people understand more about the practice and get a deeper understanding. In my experience, people that experience it themselves, that's the fastest way to get that understanding. But for many, those things are definitely measurable. And say, for example, the word Qi, another word, Qi can be translated to mean breath or life force. So even the air we breathe can be measured as a type of energy.
Okay. I think for me, I like this. I think it's quite important. I know when I make decisions as probably because I have that Western rational mind.
Yeah,
I like to learn, to have a bit of science behind.
Facts and
So
figures.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm super interested to have, okay, why it works, and it works like this. But I think then when I'm convinced, the real deep knowledge comes through the experience.
Yeah.
So if you take meditation, I was looking, okay, it works like that. That's scientific. There's like CEOs talking about it. Okay, I'm going to try. And at first, that's really what convinced me to start. And when I started to really experience it, that's when I don't really need any more, all those facts and figures.
One element that was described in the course I did with Mantak Chia, which probably crosses this theme. So the 99% empty space, there is something there. There is what's called violet light. So the Hadron Collider, or the particle collider, was smashing electrons into each other to create either a black hole or to produce a surplus of energy. And it cost about $23 billion to do this.
Okay.
And then it overheated and it broke. And then they did it again. Another $23 billion. And they collided these particles, these electrons, and they got this photo. And this image was of this violet light, like a web matrix. And it cost $46 billion to get this photo. And they'd actually taken photographs of this out in space already. And they correlated that it is the same thing. And basically this violet light, or this dark matter, or this empty space is this matrix that connects everything. And you can shine a light on an object, and light will hit it and light will bounce off it. Some light will get absorbed into it, like X-ray light, for example. And this frequency, this light, this violet light, is what we absorb into the bodies. We can absorb it into our third eye, our pineal gland. And this translates to energy. And we can translate this or transmutate this into energy. So in some of the practice of Qi Gong, this was learning how to absorb and tap into this light, which is infinitely around us. And readily available, and then using this to create our own energy. And the science going in this way, I mean, I don't want to extrapolate too much. I'm saying I don't know that much, but quantum physics is going a bit down that road. Definitely.
People like Deepak Chopra, they talk a bit, they try to make a scientific understanding of this. But that's so interesting. Do you want to do a little demo before we wrap it up?
Of course. So if anyone's watching, you can do Qi Gong, so if anyone's watching, you can join in.
2 minutes?
Yeah, for sure.
If you're listening to the podcast, maybe describe what we're doing.
Of course.
Who listen.
So a very basic sequence is some arm movements with intentional breathing. So if you start with your hands by your side, and then you're going to inhale as you raise your arms out and up. Good. And then you're going to exhale as you slowly allow your hands to float down in front. Good. Now, as you do this, you're going to time your breathing so that at the top of the movement, you finish your inhalation. And then at the bottom of the movement, you finish your exhalation. And every breath is using full lung capacity. So breathing all the way in. 100%, and then breathing all the way out. Good, just like that. I'm going to do 3 more. In through the nose, and out through the mouth. And your focus is on full breaths in, and full breaths out. Good. Last one, as deep as you can. In through the nose, and out through the mouth. Good. So that movement is called pressing earth.
And if you do it at home, you already feel it, right? It's very calming, very grounding. Why do you exhale through the mouth?
So through my own practice, there are a type of elemental breathing. So I think it's in and out through the nose is air breath. In and out through the mouth is water breath. In through the mouth, out through the mouth is earth. In through the mouth, out through the nose is fire. Like different elements. In and out through nose and mouth is spirit or ether breath. But the reason I advocate in through the nose, out through the mouth is the nose, when inhaled through, you can access, or you can receive more oxygen and nitrogen into the bloodstream through the capillaries of the nose. versus the mouth.
Okay.
And when we exhale through the
Is
mouth,
that something good if you want to hold your breath longer?
yes, yeah, definitely. So
How
nasal.
long can you hold your breath?
I haven't timed.
Okay.
But
Should be good.
a
'Cause
few,
you
a few
probably have
minutes.
a good lung capacity.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're pretty relaxed, which are two of the most
Yeah,
important
yeah.
things.
I'd say hopefully more than 2 minutes, but
Okay.
we don't know. And then the reason we breathe out through the mouth. So when we exhale, we expel carbon dioxide. So we expel waste matter in a sense. And I feel that the mouth is more effective at carrying that energy. So when we expel oxygen and we expel the carbon that we remove from the body, we can use that breath as a physical carrier for energy that we want to expel from the body. So
Okay.
just like a recycling system. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
What's next for you?
What's next for me? So I'm traveling overseas soon to expand my my skill set.
Yeah.
So I'm qualified as a Yin yoga teacher, but I haven't
Okay.
done my full 200 hours. So
Okay.
I'm going overseas to learn my full 200 yoga teacher training.
Okay.
And
That's like a lot of qualifications you can merge together. That's really
yeah.
interesting.
I have a few, but I find that
So you can have a really
a broad-
interesting angle.
yeah, a broader foundation.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the holistic approach to health and to life. I feel that to live a balanced life and a healthy life is to encompass all the elements that you can. Exercise, mindfulness, nutrition, and a good social life and things like that. Yeah.
That's really cool. How can people follow you?
So you can follow me on any social media, NU4YU, New For You Whole Body Health. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And give me a follow, give me a like, send me a message as well. Say hey. And if you have any questions about anything health related, health is one of my biggest passions. I feel that health is absolutely paramount to achieving anything else you want in life. And my name's Dan. By the way, if you're wondering why I have a bandage on my hand, I also do fire dancing. And when you play with fire, sometimes you get burnt. So, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's cool. And for the people who follow like the Unlocked community, who's in Bondi, you have an event in Bondi soon, right?
Yeah, so before I go away, I'll be teaching some Qi Gong classes in Bondi on Wednesdays. So if you follow my social media, I'll have the exact timetable coming up very shortly.
And we have a tradition. We always finish these interviews with a big warm hug.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.